Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on today's podcast. We are going to explore more about GPF, the Gauteng Partnership Fund. We are going to learn more about what it is, what they have to offer, and how we can access all these funding opportunities that they have for us. And today we'll be diving into housing, specifically the challenges that we have within the housing landscape, as well as the impact that is happening within our province in Gauteng. I'm really excited. I am not by myself. I have two amazing guests who are coming from the Gauteng Partnership Fund, GPF. So I am joined by our very own CEO, Ms. Lindiwe Kwele, as well as Mr. Shiraaz, who will be walking us through what GPF is and helping us to understand how we can access more information and tap into the opportunities that they have to offer. So before we can start with the conversation of today, could you please just give us a short introduction of who you are as well as what you do within the GPF organization, so that our listeners can get to understand and learn about you better?
All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for having us. This is a very great opportunity, considering that there are a lot of people who really want access to information.
Yes.
And we really don't take it for granted. As you have said, we are from the Gauteng Partnership Fund, an entity that is wholly owned by the Gauteng province under the stewardship of the Gauteng Department of Human Settlement. Yeah. So our shareholder is the MEC for Human Settlement within province. Yeah. And we were established in 2002 with the sole mandate of providing social housing. Over the years, our mandate has expanded to look beyond just social housing. So basically, our primary mandate is to serve as a funding as well as an implementing agent for sustainable human settlement in the Gauteng province. So our jurisdiction is Gauteng yeah. only, because we are the agency of Gauteng. So it's only within the Gauteng city region. So our key focus areas, we raise capital through general partnerships with our senior funder. GPF always assume the role of a junior funder. We also raise and manage capital for mega project, affordable accommodation in Gauteng. We also provide loans, which is something I hope everyone is interested into.
Yes.
We are into project lending and really unapologetically targeting historically disadvantaged property developers. You know that a property sector, the barriers to entry are quite high. And as a transformation agent, we had to also create a mechanism where we can actually mainstream historically disadvantaged people who would not otherwise participate in the sector. So as the GPF, what is unique about us is that when people apply, we appreciate that not everyone has collateral.
Yes.
Not everyone has a huge equity to contribute to a project. So we always we encourage people obviously to put in a solid business case, and when the team does the project lending assessment, it is assessed on the basis of the strength of a business plan,
yes,
as opposed to your balance sheet, something that the commercial banks are looking for. So and that is our contribution to transformation as the GPF. But what we're saying is that as a project, as an emerging property developer, it is important that you also surround yourself with professionals who are going to help you to put together a bankable business plan, because we are also not in the business of losing money.
Yes.
We are transforming, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we fund projects that will be successful, project that will also create generational wealth for these developers, project that will also house, because we are existing to respond to a Section 26 constitutional imperative, which is provision of decent housing for all. And so we need, the more the merrier. We need extra hands. You know, there's fiscal constraints. There are conflicting needs in the state. Other social welfare issues like health, like education. Housing is also a critical component. So we've got to work with private sector for the acceleration of human settlement. And if you look at the dynamics of Gauteng as a very interesting province, yes, we are the economic hub. small in terms of land mass,
Yes.
but at the same time densely populated. So we have to cater for 15 million population that is growing. By 2030, Stat SA tells us that we're going to be having 18 million people. And that comes with dealing with the issues of demand and supply in the housing space. So really that's the role that we're playing as the GPF. We also act as a turnkey project developer on behalf of the province, where we are leveraging off the state levers land to actually do project management and development services as a developer on strategic government-owned land. So that is really, in essence, who we are as the Gauteng Partnership Fund.
Thank you. Thank you so much for a very detailed and elaborative description of what you do within the GPF space. I appreciate a lot of what you brought in, and we are going to expand more on some of the aspects that you spoke about.
Yeah.
You spoke about housing deficit. You spoke about the targeted market and socioeconomic issues that we are facing. These are some of the things that we're still going to elaborate more about as we go through the podcast. So, Mr. Shiraaz, from your standpoint, what has changed since you guys have started in 2002, and what does that say about the housing needs and how they've shifted within the Gauteng province?
Yes, as our CEO has mentioned, we were initially set up to do social housing.
Yeah.
So at the time, there was nobody else to assist in terms of funding social housing. And the GPF is so dynamic that as the housing need arose, the GPF mandate was just expanded. So we went from social housing to rental housing, which was for existing institutions, to what we call our EEPF, which is our 100% black funded owned program, because there was a need for transformation. And then came student accommodation, because student accommodation, there was a huge shortage of accommodation for students. And that shows the uniqueness and the dynamic of GPF to be able to move and assist with as the mandate required. Eventually, we became implementing agents for mega projects, for rapid land release program, and also for upgrading of informal settlements. So the GPF has really sort of evolved since 2002 to 2025.
100%. It's quite clear that the housing needs are evolving, and I believe that partnership probably play a big role in responding to the changes that you see. And I think you mentioned this, that you work with different partners. You work with both government and private partners. How do you strike the balance? You did mention that you still have to make money at the end of the day. How do you strike the balance at the same time still maintaining that drive of impacting the community that we operate in?
Our existence is solely anchored on impact investing.
Yes.
Everything that we do, we are mindful of the socioeconomic imperatives. Everything that we do, we need to tangibly demonstrate the impact in terms of supporting SMEs, the impact of supporting women, youth, people living with disability. And in rands and cents, we need to be, even on our annual report, we are able to demonstrate the amount of disbursement to the SMEs, the amount of work that have been given to them. So every development that you see that is supported by the GPF, we can tangibly, quantitatively demonstrate the impact it has made in that local area. So we see ourselves also playing a critical role in contributing to the local economic development. But obviously from a sector perspective, the balancing act for us, we, as I said, as a transformation agent, we work with other DFIs, which is your development finance institutions. And as a junior funder, we cushion senior funders. So there's a de-risking mechanism, something that most people really do not grasp, because it's unique to the GPF, because senior funders, if the going gets tough, and if you default as a developer, they are the ones who take the first bite. We take the loss.
Yeah.
So that it's a business. That's how the business model is. So as a junior funder, we are the first one who must disperse, who must give you the money. So you must first finish the junior facility.
Yes.
And then tap into the senior facility. But likewise, also when there are defaults and your inability to repay your loan, we also make sure that the senior funder is the first one to recoup their money. So that on its own is our contribution to cushion previously disadvantaged property developers. But we are not saying we need to accept that as a norm, because we are dealing with lending. Where it's a loan. Just like if you go to a bank, you are expected to repay the loan. But we are also mindful of other macroeconomic dynamics.
Yes.
We just this sector was the hardest hit post-COVID. We know that the industry had to shut down completely, and the ability to repay, it's something that we are now the aftermath of the post-COVID. It's still affecting us in terms of our non-performing loans. So we are dealing with that. But as part of supporting our people, we do restructuring to the loans. But when all else fail, we have to also the legal has to step in. So we've got to do responsible lending as well. And that is why we put in stringent due diligence processes, because when you are in the application mode, the team from the investment and development unit, they also handhold you. They are able to identify gaps in your application, in your business plan, and then advise you in terms of where you need to strengthen. And then they will stress test your financial modeling against our modeling to look at the viability and the feasibility of the project. If it ticks all the boxes, and obviously you've also received all the necessary approvals from the municipality, because that is a sphere of the local government, we need to make sure that it ticks all those boxes. And the guidelines are also available on our website for those who are interested in applying, to look at what are the requirements, that will tick the boxes. But it's not just an issue of going to the website and going through that. When in need, when you need clarity, when you need guidance, the team is available to handhold you. But obviously, you must guard against a segregation risk, a concentration risk. We need to segregate our responsibility. You are the lender, I'm the borrower, and I will guide you and everything, but you still have to have your technical professional team, because we will hold you according to what you had presented at the beginning before we then conclude the loan. So there are a lot of elements of support, of business support, because we view enterprise development as a process. It's not a sprint, and we walk this journey until you get your occupational certificate. And also tenanting, we also look at your operational cost, we look at your model to look at the viability, because ultimately we want you to succeed. If you succeed, you are able to repay our loan, and we are able to reinvest and fund the next person. So it's that positive sum game that we are trying to harness, that we are trying to encourage.
Okay. No, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Also, I appreciate the thought of not just giving me the money and letting me go and figure it out by myself, or even during the application process, because some people then get discouraged of even starting to apply simply because they feel that it's too complex for them to understand. Considering that our target market, or your target market, is the previously disadvantaged people, there is also that gap of being afraid of processes and systems, right? So that's quite a helpful resources that you have there of helping the applicant or developer to be able to figure out what they need and what requirements they have. Mr. Shiraaz, on your side, I wanted to find out, when we speak about funding, Ms. Lindiwe spoke a lot about funding and how GPF differs from what we know, right? When we speak about funding, a lot of developers right away thinks about traditional funding. And that's what we know. That's what we are familiar with, right? Can you just, in a layman's term, explain to us what differentiates the way in which GPF funding model works versus the traditional method that we are familiar with?
Okay. So the GPF is very, very unique. We are an institution unlike any other nationally, or even within provincially. So how the GPF operates, and I guess the best way is to use an example.
Yes.
Let's use an example. So if you have a project worth 10 million, so that's going to cost you all inclusive. It's your professional fees, everything else, land acquisition, everything. So we use a nice round number. 10 million rand is your project. If you were to go to the bank generally the conventional traditional banks would say, okay, we're prepared to do 60%. You need to provide 40% equity. They're also going to look at your balance sheet. Have you your experience? Have you done this before?
Yes.
All those aspects would be then interrogated, evaluated by the bank. Obviously, they have an algorithm. They put all this in, and then it spits out a decision, approved or not approved.
Yes.
So a lot. What the GPF does in terms of the mezzanine and junior layer, as our CE was talking about. So as I explained, it was a 60% loan from your banks and 40% equity. So what the GPF does is, in between the senior funder, that 60% and the 40%, we slot ourselves in there.
Yeah.
And we then provide up to 30%. So all of a sudden, what it does is it reduces the equity requirements, firstly, for the developer.
Yes.
So from 40, let's say between 5 and 10%. So let's say we're using the model 10, 30, 60, 10% equity, 30% GPF,
and
60%
then the senior.
From the senior funder.
Yes.
So already you can see how unique GPF is.
100%.
We play that role. So what it does for, as the CEO was also mentioning, what it does for the senior funder, it de-risks the whole transaction because you're doing a 60% commitment, again 6 million from the 10 million, but you register first mortgage bond, so you get security of 100%.
Yes.
on your 6 million. So for the senior funder, GPF is really a partner you want to be with. Similarly, for the developer, we provide the 30%, but it's not equity per se. It's still in the form of a loan, but his equity requirements then decrease. But if you were to go to the sector and go to the sector that provides mezzanine funding, their interest rates would be prime plus 3 upwards. And the period of repayment period would be 5 to 7 years.
Yeah,
Now,
that's
if you look at very short term,
Yes.
which puts a lot of stress on your cash flow
Yes.
and everything else. But if you talk to the GPF, our funding interest rates is prime minus. And we do 15-year loans. So all of a sudden your cash flow is looking much better because you have a longer time to pay the GPF.
Yes, yes.
So both score. The developer scores because what we call the weighted average cost of funding, which is if you
Yes.
add up all your interest rates and you average it, that comes down because the GPF is prime minus. And then the repayment terms, the senior funder scores because the developer is providing that additional risk, mitigant risk for them.
Yes, 100%. Thank you so much. What an insight for GPF. The prime lending rate is prime minus.
Yeah.
That is quite exciting.
And it depends on the program.
And of course, based on circumstances, and of course, each project is different from the other. However, like you said, the weighted average then becomes much better for the developer as well, which is then exciting and makes it, like you said, access to entry a little bit more enticing, right? So driving these kind of projects comes with its own challenges, I would believe. And of course, there has been some of the learnings. What are some of the learnings that you have seen, either from the developer side that they need to look out for as they prepare for the application? If someone is interested looking at this and maybe they want to apply and access the opportunity to access the loan opportunity, what are some of the things that you have seen, that mistakes that maybe developers make that they can learn from? Or from the GPF standpoint, what are some of the lessons that you have learned that you are doing better or planning on doing better on going forward?
Okay, I will just look at the whole institutional maturity on our side, and then maybe Sido will then touch on the lessons learned in terms of the behavioral issues.
Yes.
Because once you see 10 million that you've never seen before, you are tempted to also do 100%. Other things. I
can imagine.
So we need to say you are a budding developer, stay on the development lane.
Yes.
That money is meant to do what? To develop, to grow you as a reputable business person. And then if you manage your finances properly, minimize your cost, the likelihood of you thriving, and then you'll take your net profit and do other things and incentivize yourself. So I think that is something that all business people from across all sectors, we have to, that fiscal discipline, and that also earmarking the project money specifically for what it is intended for.
Yep.
But Shiraaz will elaborate further on that. So for us, as we have indicated in terms of the evolution of the GPF and the expanded mandate and the challenges that come with that, we need to really look at our stringent due diligence mechanisms, because even strengthening our financial modeling, we didn't, I think about 5-10 years ago, we never had the technical credit risk committee. That really becomes that combined assurance mechanism to make sure that we dot all the I's, we cross all the T's. So just from a governance point of view, we had to actually strengthen and enhance our control environment because we need to make sure nothing can ever be 100% foolproof, but you need to make sure that you have put in adequate controls to mitigate project risk, the credit risk mechanisms. We need to make sure that we benchmark with the best of the best in the industry, and that our financial model is also watertight, and the stress testing. So all those elements is something that we've put in as part of our lessons, because sometimes the viability of the project, it has to also, we need to have different eyes between the teams, between the team that approves, processes the application, the one that recommend for approval, and the one that must actually look at the almost ultimate to make sure that what you say is viable is indeed viable. Have you taken into consideration all other external factors that might actually affect the viability? And then it comes to us as ExCo to then look at whether it is a go or not, but we have to be lending responsibly because we are not in the business of setting people up for failure. So those has been we even put in a study around lessons learned within the whole project lending ecosystem to look at whether are the blind spots, on our part, because we did have, Shiraaz spoke about the Entrepreneurial Empowerment, Fund, the EEPF, which is the one that is 100% Black-owned property developers. If you look at our NPL, that is the highest risk because of the nature. I think it comes with the fact that these are people who never participated in the space. So we needed to really look at how do we enhance it, because it's something we pride ourselves in, because there are so many good stories, success stories, but there are also not so good stories where projects were abandoned because maybe the financial management or modeling, there were issues there, so we needed to close that particular gap. But I will say from 2019 onwards, I think we are beginning to see a turnaround, and we are really engaging with people who really want to play a significant role in this space. We are also excited that we've seen a repeat. In terms of, because that is the yardstick to measure the success, the fact that we were able to lend you and you were able to deliver, and we even had to cancel the bond because it's now flying. You come back, we are able to refund you again. You are growing, you are creating generational wealth, you are absorbing other professionals, young Black professionals in the built environment. So there has been those lessons learned on our part just from strengthening the ecosystem of project lending. So we had to pay the price, we had to pay our school fees
100%.
To a certain degree, but we continue to learn. It's a continuous learning. It's a continuous improvement issue, but also honesty is very important also as we engage with our stakeholders, because these are our stakeholders. As I said, when I entrust you with millions that belongs to the state, that belongs to private sector as well, we are in the business of ensuring that there are sound returns for the partners we work with, but there's also socio-economic impact on the ground, and we are in the business of resolving the human settlement issue. We have to create livable communities, so it does not serve our interest when we leave buildings abandoned or half-built. It does not resolve the Section 26 constitutional imperative. So there has been some successful projects, but others have not been successful. It comes with the package, but we've tightened up our controls.
Thank you so much. Before we can get into like behavioral issues and some of the challenges and lessons that we have seen from developer standpoint, I wanted to just follow up. What are some of the programs that you probably have in place to assist when a project doesn't succeed? Is there any kind of system processes that you follow when the program doesn't succeed? And also, at what point do you identify your project as not being successful?
Okay, so we do have portfolio management units that really have an intimate relationship with all our developers, with all the developers. And obviously, based on your financial statements and everything, and the performance and the tenancy, looking at the occupancy rate, it really tells you where the project is at. So it gives you your early warning systems, and then you have to trigger interventions right at the onset. But others, again, the issue of also ensuring that the property management team that deals with operations, you have people who understand financial management as well, 100%. Who are able to also ensure that when there's CPI adjustments, you need to, the rent must also align with that, and because your cost will increase, they also factor in the CPI imperative. So we work very closely with them, and as part of our intervention and our mitigants, at time we have to also introduce the cession of income to make sure that we are repaid, and it's something that we lay on the table when we are at the signing stage to then say, this money is meant for you to deliver this, and these are the conditions, and then obviously it's read and it must be understood. You can bring your legal team to make sure that that gets done. So those are the things that we really have put in place as a team. And then the post-investment, there's site inspection all the time, so that you can be able to look at this type of a facility, is it well maintained?
Yes.
Because people want to live in a decent environment that is well kept and everything. That's where you attract more people, tenants for occupancy. Because remember, there's also, even on the affordable rental, sometimes there's a very fine line between social housing and rental and social and the affordable rental. So other people will always want to jump ship and go where they feel that the rates are better. So it's a highly competitive state. So we also have to use what we learn in the industry. There are various associations. We encourage developers to be members, to participate, because that way access to information, that 100%. Way exchange, programs are in for people to enhance their knowledge as well. Because remember, you are an entrepreneur when it's all said and done. You need to also have that self, drive. But at the same time, where there are opportunities, we create forums, stakeholder forums, where these things are shared, where roundtables, invitations, even when we have industry events and seminars, we make sure that we also prioritize our developers so that they are also growing, because it's in our interest that they are mindful of what is happening in the sector. What are the blind spots, what they can do better. We are also a partner with CBE, which is a Council for Built Environment. They bring in the technical know-how in terms of market research and everything. With the team is always kept abreast. We work with academic institutions as well, just to share knowledge, because our team also needs to understand the evolution of the sector. It's not stagnant, it's evolving. There are ESG issues, environmental, social, governance issues. There are climate change is a reality. We have to meet up with your SDG goals, your sustainable development goals. So there is evolution in the built environment. So even alternative built material, that will also ensure resilience to withhold climate change realities. Who would have thought that South Africa will be snowing? Even the floods, the rainfall because of climate change issues. So we need to make sure that when we introduce them to alternative technologies, for the built environment, to make sure that their development are also resilient. They can withstand and withstand the climate change issues and everything. So it's a collaborative partnership, really, But again, information is vast, it's there. You need to tap into it. We make sure that it is available. We use all our platforms. We have sessions that we work with our association partners to make sure that such information is accordingly shared with all the potential developers. Yeah.
Thank you so much. At the end of the day, you are an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the information is available, easily accessible for you to be able to tap into it. And when you know better, you actually get to do better. So
absolutely.
let's make it a point to register to platforms that are relevant to the business that we're interested in, just so we can be able to successfully do so. And our partner, GPF, is continuously saying that their hope is for us to be successful, for you as a developer to be successful as well. So going back into some of the lessons that you have seen, or some of the mistakes that you have seen and lesson learned from a developer standpoint, what do you see? What can be improved, especially for someone who has never done this and is looking into tapping into this opportunity?
Yeah.
What can they look out for to strengthen their chances of getting the approval?
So I think developers must understand that investment in property is not a quick rich scheme.
Yes.
It's not. It's patient money, and there's lots of work to be done before you even see the first sort of monies dispersed to your project. And the second thing we need to also advise our budding developers is nobody is going to give you money up front and say, go ahead and do your project. Monies are always disbursed on work that has already been completed for. So at all times, the very, very most important thing is equity.
Yeah.
Choose a project that matches your equity. Start by understanding what are your limitations in terms of your equity. That will then determine what project you can almost bite at. But if you know your equity and you pick up a mega project, then you're already setting yourself up for failure.
Yes.
And so we segregate the lessons learned. So right up front, the GPF used to provide approvals way before even the zoning was approved. Just so we want to, because we in our efforts to transform the sector, we wanted to be all for everybody. And then we realized, but it takes 18 months to 2 years before you can rezone.
More.
Exactly. And so we're sitting with a commitment. The developer is sitting with an expression of interest, and costs are increasing to his project. And one of the main lessons learned is the minute costs increase, it has a huge impact on your financial
100%.
sustainability. So from the developer's point of view, understand what your limitations are with your equity. And with the property that you seeking to purchase, understand what are the town planning issues.
Yes.
Know what are the town planning issues. If it needs to be rezoned, make sure you factor that in terms of your project life cycle. So you understand that. Then in terms of the GPF would will only accept an application now once the town planning issues have all been sorted out.
Yep.
Coupled with that, we want a geotech investigation. If it's just greenfields, just land only, we want a geotech.
Yep.
The reason being is we've had instances where they dig out the trenches for foundation, and all of a sudden they hit major rock, and then that skyrockets the cost of the product.
Yes.
So we demand literally a geotech be submitted with your application, because that informs your costing.
Yeah.
So those are in terms of before we even get to the lessons learned on construction, but those were the the developer what they must look out for in terms of their lessons learned. Then to go into lessons learned under construction, make sure you pick the right professional team.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And they have adequate experience, that they're able to assist you, and also the GPF will vet the contractor you appoint. So we have a requirement which says if you have again, the 10 million rand loan, the CIDB grading must match that loan that they are going to, the loan you're going to get. So because we want to know that they've done this work before, your contractor. So we want to know that they be able to buy material and not rely on you to buy material. So all those, we vet the contractor, which we were not doing before. So those are lessons learned, and make sure you keep within budget. You have contingencies, and they're there for a reason, but try and keep within budget and within the time frame within which you want to deliver your project.
No, thank you so much. You hit on a very sensitive topic of zoning. I find that it's becoming more and more complex to get rezoning approval from municipality standpoint. In as much as we want the impact of making impacts within our community through socioeconomic, helping a society with socioeconomic issues such as housing, developers find themselves with these issues, which we can consider red tapes, right? So what are some of the housing policies that when you think about, you think, here we can actually do better to be able to fast track the process of getting the developer up and running? Or just to simplify the process that we see?
I would say I believe in compliance. I really am a sucker for compliance. But I believe that because, there are different spheres of government and different mandates. And unfortunately, as a provincial entity, we cannot do much in as far as approvals are concerned.
Correct.
But we have introduced an IGR. We have a dedicated resource that interfaces with all the municipalities where our investments are, to make sure that we are actually alive to those realities that we are talking about. You will agree with me that municipalities can do better with agility and improve their operational efficiencies, because it not only serves the developers, but it's an economic imperative.
It is.
Because if more developments happen at a speed, it's more revenue for the municipalities. So it's an economic benefit for them.
For all.
So there has been issues of really unreasonable delays. So I would say let's innovate. Let's without obviously compromising quality and compliance, because ultimately you want development that will withstand shocks, future shocks and disasters and everything. So we still respect the profession. That's why it exists. But I think we need a dedicated team that is agile, that really is mindful of the role they need to play in stimulating economic growth. So it's something that we've been through our IGR engagements to say, guys, you are actually delaying development because of your, slow processing of applications and I think even fortunately, because our MEC also sit with the mayor, and there's also MINMEC. These issues are really being deliberated around how do municipalities really improve efficiencies in terms of turnaround around applications. So agility. I think when I was still in my other life, when I was still at the City of Tshwane, we had the privilege of working with through the City Support Program. And the World Bank team did an exercise around the cost of doing business in South Africa. And they looked at all the metros where they will do an assessment, the processes take to actually even process electrical, approval, planning, zonings and everything. All municipalities have that as a basis to say, these are your red points. These are the cities areas that are doing areas of improvement. I would have expected that through their IDPs, through their SDBIPs and their strategies, they are able to say then, what are the interdependencies? Who needs to do what in order to make sure that we turn around our turnaround time? Instead of 9 months, we can bring it back to at least maximum 4 to 6 months, steadily, incrementally. So everyone has sight of that intelligence insight, market insight. You could do better. And I think it's doable. It's a matter of being intentional. If there's a will, there's a way, and we continue to engage. We continue to engage.
100%. We actually, from a developer standpoint, I believe this is one of the areas that is painful, and it's a it's an ongoing thing, and hopefully at some point we will start seeing some light. And with the partnerships that you continue to have with different stakeholders that are involved in this, hopefully we'll start seeing that, because to your point, it is a benefit for all.
Absolutely.
From the developer to the municipality to even some of the partners who provides funding as well.
And the unintended consequences is the costings.
Yes.
Because remember, there's time factor.
It's true.
You know, everything changes, and even the building cost and everything. So it's unfair to a developer, you know. So we need to be mindful of all of those factors as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you mentioned resources from a point of making sure that the developer has the right suppliers when it comes to people who they outsource during the building stage. So does the EEPF project that you spoke about include training or mentorship that can help a developer to actually just familiarize themselves before tapping into like the application stage? Because although this sounds exciting, there is some real work and real responsibility that a developer needs to take from their side. Yeah. So what does the program entail, and how can someone who's looking into future accessing the funding opportunity start tapping into that before they can even start the application process?
Yeah. So I think we must understand that the Gauteng Partnership Fund, the GPF, is in the end a funding institution.
100%.
That is our mandate. Promotion of the SMME is incidental or coincidental.
I see.
So we rely, and we used to have a mentorship program when we initially introduced the Entrepreneur Empowerment Fund, EEPF. We used to have a mentorship fund. So how we used to run the program was, we used to do a request for proposals. They used to submit their proposal. We then used to evaluate them, pick 10 companies, put them through the mentorship program. And so we must have done about 100, 120 of these companies. And in the end, we got like a 50% strike rate. So we had about 51 projects. And then we changed the modus operandi to say, look, our mandate is funding.
Yep.
How do we then leverage off the other institutions within the sector that are providing the training?
That is great.
So Gauteng Enterprise Propeller is one of our partners. We're in negotiation with them, the National Empowerment Fund, NHFC. They have all these programs for budding developers. So you recognize your niche, and as the CE says, stay in your lane. And so we come in when the developers to an extent have been trained and have found their way, and now they want to close that financial model. And we understand that market, we understand that's our niche and that's our mandate. And so we as we say, we partner with other institutions.
That's lovely. Thank you so much for that. I hope other future developers or people who are looking into accessing the mentorship program have an idea on how then they can approach that as well. So I wanted to know, I think in the beginning you brought up a housing deficit conversation. Would you say that the gap is increasing or is it decreasing? What approach is GPF taking to ensure that they participate in reducing the gap in terms of housing needs?
Yeah, I would say we have about 1.3 million unit deficit in Gauteng. I did indicate to you that we are 15 million people.
Yes.
By 2030, State SA says we will be 18 million. And obviously people come to Gauteng for economic opportunities.
Yes.
So the urban migration, the influx that is coming here, sometimes the unintended consequences is an increase of informal settlement because people don't have alternatives because they need to be housed somewhat. So the demand will always be there because of the profile of Gauteng as an economic hub. So what we have done as a Gauteng, and I think it's something that is unique to us as well, the Rapid Land Release Program that Shiraaz spoke about, but also it also has its own limitations because when I give you the land, I still have not resolved. Yes, I've given you some equity because now you own something that you could leverage with the bank as a collateral. But you want ultimately to have a top structure where you can house your family and live a decent life. So the top structure through the GPF and the department, we've also we work closely with Home Loan, SA Home Loan, to actually look at eligible people that can be assisted, those that qualify as the beneficiaries for the repellent who have already been allocated these land parcels for a top structure to also deal with the issue of demand. So over and above the project lending, over and above us also becoming a PMO for the mega project, we are also acquiring land on behalf of the department. And then they do beneficiary administration, they do the allocation. But as part of our support, we work with SA Home Loan to make sure that those that are eligible, obviously they use their own criteria to those who are qualifying to give them a loan so that they are able to build a top structure. We also play a role around your reblocking in the informal settlement, because you know that formalization of informal settlement is a purview of the municipalities. But through the work that the department is doing, as well as the GPF, we also play a role around the alternative sanitation, because it's all about human dignity. As much as you are staying in an informal settlement, we need to make sure that we are beginning to use innovation to ensure that at least there's a level of formalization, there's light, there's roads, there's decent sanitation for people living in the informal settlement. So those are the things that we are dealing with in our quest to respond to the unique dynamism of Gauteng as an economic hub, as a province.
No, thank you so much. You also mentioned the focus on historically disadvantaged people, specifically for women and youth. Is there any particular initiative that you have that attracts women and youth? How are we ensuring that we're reaching to them or reaching to the wider audience that may also maximize on this opportunity?
Okay, so as the GPF, we participate. Sometimes they are self-initiated a program where we do outreach in various municipalities. As I've indicated, our jurisdiction is the Gauteng City region. We will do road shows where we bring people in a community hall, working with the local councillor or the MPL, where we're sharing access to information, because we need to empower people. Even other events that are driven at DID or even at Gauteng Economic Propeller, GPF always participate. But over and above that, I indicated that we are part of various associations. So they are industry specific events that takes place, and through various social media platforms we are able to share that particular information. So what we do, we make sure that on a quarterly basis or fortnightly, we do have point of presence in various areas where the marketing and comms team will go with the project team and the portfolio team to go and share information with the public in the community meetings. So we participate. And then obviously we also, through the work of the Gauteng legislature, because that's where we account for the work that we do. So every end of the quarter, there's a legislature work where we go to a hall in that community, and it goes, we've been to Tshwane, we've been to Mogale City, we've been to, so all the municipalities within Gauteng, we go there, and then people will listen, we share information, we share our performance. They also, if they have grievances and those that have been waiting, even it's not only just GPF, it's ourselves and the department. But obviously when we're there as a Gauteng Partnership Fund, we are sharing what we do, opportunities that are available. The team, there's a desk, we put up a desk, we bring collateral where we distribute to make sure that, so on a quarterly basis, it's a legislated process. We always participate there.
So what would be some of the platforms that a person can access to ensure that they get information about where you're going to be next, for them to be able to participate?
The marketing team always announce that, and obviously, as I said, social media platform, and obviously, because this is in X is more like your generic consumer type of.
Yes.
So if you come to your LinkedIn, because that's
Yes.
where even professional developers will be.
100%.
That is a specific, dedicated niche type of information. We are very present. We are present across all media platforms, all social media platforms. So we do announce that. And also we piggyback on the work that is done by our partners. I mean, we just did a SALGA investment summit that we did, I think it was around March, April, where all municipalities to deal with the very same issues spoken about. But as a GPF, we're also presenting our case. We will be doing another one with them. We've partnered with a CBE on the investment summit that was in Sentin with Public Works, where we're also dealing with issues of smart financing, who we are, what we do, what opportunities are available within the GPF. So we always have to work smarter and leverage on our strategic partners, because we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We do have our own events that we drive, but where there are events with our partners, be it SALGA, be it Cities Network, be it Council for Built Environment, be it SAIBIB, be it Black Property associations, we are there, you know, because ours is to make sure that where there's a platform, we have a point of presence, we have information over and above what is available in our public platforms.
100%. I think the message that you keep on echoing is that the information is available. Just press off a button, click of a button, one search away, you will be able to access information about the GPF. I wanted to ask you, when it comes to success, I mean, there's a lot that we spoke about that you're doing successfully, which is great. You've been operating for 20 years. What a milestone, right? What are some of the successes that you have seen that you will say, this is the highlight of something that I have worked on and something that I'm proud to have seen the GPF participate on, maybe from both your sides, be it from a developer standpoint or from processes standpoint? What are some of the successes that you have seen throughout the years?
So personally, every project that we successfully complete is a success for us, literally. Because, you know, each project is so unique. You have a developer that it's their passion. So for me, each and every project that we successfully complete, we take that as an achievement, and then further on, when they start making the repayments and they don't go into arrears and everything else, that for us is really a success. So and the GPF has evolved from being one of the primary funders of social housing initially, to student accommodation now. So for me, that is also a success. The fact that we can be flexible in our mandate. But I'll hand over to you.
I think for me, it's about impact. You know, when it all said and done, and when we put our annual report there and be able to say, this is how much we've contributed in terms of the provincial priorities, and we can quantitatively indicate these are the number of units over and above what you are doing as Department of Housing, Human Settlement within the province. This is the contribution of the GPF in numbers, where you can tangibly go touch. And that is a success. But also in terms of dealing with the spatial issues, because, our apartheid legacy, where people were thrown in furthest to where economic opportunities are. But the fact that we are very mindful in terms of where we put money, where we put our investment. We are intentional to make sure that we fund projects that are closer to where economic opportunities are, because it's about that integration. We are mindful and intentional around creating livable communities, because we have to deal a blow to the apartheid spatial legacy. So that for me, I measure as a success factor. The fact that there are women developments, things that you would not see in the past, that are thriving, where women are doing their things, youth, projects that are completed, that are running, but ultimately, as Shiraaz has indicated, the ability to complete and repay and tenant, because that's what it's all about. And the fact that strategically for us, appreciating the uniqueness of Gauteng having 3 metros,
Yep.
the 2 with the most academic institution being Tshwane and Joburg, and the fact that we understood the plight of the young people who are in these academic institutions, where some of them were staying in appalling
Yep.
conditions, but we were able to open our doors to work with the private sector, with developers, to then say, let us work together in building credible, decent living, student accommodation to accommodate these young leaders, because with that you are contributing to the future legacy
100%.
of the country. So that for me is a success. And it goes on, but also selfishly on our side, from our own growth, just seeing even our professionals within the investment team, the investment and development unit, our QSs, our project managers, because they've managed this, that sense of pride. I mean, Shiraaz is driving most of the mega projects, and him delivering, on time, within budget. And we go to the shareholder to say, you've entrusted us with this, R1 billion or this amount of money. We are now close. We are in the financial close. This is the occupational certification is there. We are now in the SNEG. We are doing the SNEG list and everything. We are now handing over for the MEC to go and launch.
Yes.
That is pride.
Yep.
That is something that we pride ourselves. So we are excited, and we are looking for more and more. And more importantly, the fact that the private sector has been working with us. I mean, your future growth, because that's all mutual pension fund money.
Yes.
They are able to come on board, work with the government, because we are a government entity.
Yes.
Other entities like your NHFC, these are all DFIs. They are government funded. But the fact that we could actually have private sector funds, working with us, that is a testament to our goodwill, to the
100%.
brand equity, to the brand reputation. And so for me, it really is about understanding that as we grow and we journey, we understand that the state alone can never be able to resolve the housing shortage issue. We require strategic collaborative partnerships. We
Yes.
require a smart financing. We require incentives that will lure and attract private sector. We require municipalities to step up and be agile enough so that we are able to do a package incentive that will actually attract private sector to want to put their money, knowing that they will yield results and sound returns in their investments.
Yeah. No, there has been some successes that I've seen myself. I've read through the website and see some success stories on some of the work that you have done. What a pride it is also to be part of the province, but at the same time to be South African at the time in which we can see that we acknowledge the challenges that people who live in the country are experiencing, and actually doing something about it, and actually seeing results. It just goes to show that if we put our minds to it, there's nothing that can stop us. And looking ahead, how do you see GPF in the next 5 years? What is exciting? What do you have for us in the next 5 years?
I'll leave it to the scene.
Yes.
I think for me, having reduced our NPLs, our non-performing loans, having seen more developers thriving, having contributed to the regeneration of the inner city.
Yes.
Having the state entrusting us with some land parcels where we can co-develop with private sector and sweat and create new livable spaces. And having everyone appreciating that there is a business case for a transformation agent like a GPF.
Yes.
We need to be cushioned because we are cushioning senior funders. We are cushioning developers
as well,
who cushions us. So we would love for everyone to understand the rationale, the moral obligation and the rationale for such institutions to exist. If we are all serious about transformation, we are a proof of concept other provinces can emulate and replicate
100%.
in our quest to accelerate human settlement. So that really, for me, is that North Star, basically.
No, thank you so much. Thank you. What an amazing conversation. I believe that all listeners have learned something. They know better about what GPF is, how they can access information from GPF or partner with GPF, or if you're a developer looking into getting funding opportunity, now you know better. Because when you know better, you actually do better, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. So what are your closing remarks? Something that you would like to say to our listeners that you can just leave them with in regards to GPF?
Yeah, look at our website, explore the website, use the information, make contact with us, and hopefully we can transform or give life to the idea of your first development. Thanks.
Don't be scared. It's doable. Other people have done it. We have had some success stories. And from your side?
We really feel honored and privileged to be part of this journey.
Yes.
We don't take it for granted. And we are then thanking even yourselves, for such platforms.
Yes.
Because no man is an island.
100%.
But information is vast. It's there. People must tap into it. And we'll continue to use various platforms to share, to encourage. And those that are really ready, who wants to pursue this, we are more than happy to handhold, to walk the journey with them. And also those that have also gone before them, who've walked this path with the GPF, who have got stories to tell.
Yeah.
We thank them for being a loyal partner who understood that we've blessed them so that they can be a blessing as well. So we're very excited about the future. We're privileged that we are in this dynamic province.
100%. Yes.
And the fact that we've been entrusted with this responsibility. We take it in strides, but we are also mindful of the macroeconomic conditions.
Yeah.
So we they always say an African proverb to say if you want to go far, if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far,
you can go
together.
Yes.
So I believe that with everyone, in the value chain, coming on board, leveraging of each other's strengths, leveraging of each other's resources, we can do more and create a Gauteng that we can all be proud of. And obviously, I couldn't thank the team. Because it's men and women of Gauteng Partnership Fund and the support of a visionary leader, the MEC, and the board, our board of trustees who are also, guiding us and ensuring that we are on the right path. And our partners like yourselves, and our senior funders, we cannot thank them enough. But we are very excited about the future. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Please continue to shape the community that we can all be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you so much.